I'd welcome everyone to the Koochiching County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. Would you please help me open with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. First item under county business is to approve the proposed agenda with additions and/or deletions. We have neither today, so approval would be as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any discussions on the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you. Next up is to approve the minutes from the July 23rd, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is financial business. Chair would accept a motion for items A, B, C, and D. And that is approve the July summarized payment listing, approve July payroll and ACH payments, to approve courthouse claims, and approve highway claims.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any discussion on the claims? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up, we have a couple of warrant voids. One was a fraud, the other was lost and destroyed affidavit. The fraud one was in the amount of $75,8714, and the lost or destroyed was $40,721.88. And the fraud was kind of caught by the drummer, it sounds like, or somebody kind of caught it along the path of payment.
The way it was explained to me is someone intercepted the check before it got to the vendor and tried to cash it, and the bank caught it that it wasn't the right person trying to cash the check.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any discussion on the voice? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is to approve small city grant appropriation from the power line monies. And we have the amounts here as it is apportioned. And this is an annual renewal. Okay, there we go. Motion 2018 that set the percentage rates from the Great Northern Transmission Line apportioned as follows: 23% to Big Falls, Little Fork, Northam, and Rainier, and 8% to the City of Mizpah. And further review this appropriation on an annual basis. So this is an annual renewal at the appropriations. The amount of that is $331,024. So Big Falls, Little Fork, Northam, and Rainier $71,799.38 each, and Mizpah is $24,973. So that gets directly infused into their general budget, and that's come to their operating expenses and some of their city funded expenses. So for each one of those communities, and at this renewal rate here, we've had discussion in the past, and a lot of these obviously this power line goes right through their backyard. So this is just one way to kind of get some of that benefit back to those communities too. And I know that it helps them out a lot. Kind of hold the levy steady in those smaller cities like that. So, but again, we're also up for discussion if anybody wishes here. If everything looks good, we would accept the motion to keep that apportionment as presented, which would be no change from previous year.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner McAtee. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up, Human Resources. Good morning, how are you doing?
Morning, Commissioner. How are you guys doing?
So far, so good.
Good.
So we have a longtime person,
45-year employee.
45-year employee.
So she's finally retiring. So we're looking for approval to fulfill her position, accept her retirement. I have Derek here today to support me that we expect there to be internal movement. We want to expedite the process of internal hiring so that we can fill all positions so we can better serve the community. You want to speak in on that?
Yeah, this will be, there's likely going to be probably several internal movements with this. We have people that are qualified for the position that may move from other units in the department that will fill that position. What we're requesting is to fill this position and then be able to continue to backfill rather than having to come back to the county board and ask for approval to fill one of the vacancies created by this position being filled. It adds a lot of time to the process if we do it that way. But if we can just get an approval to fill this vacancy and any ensuing vacancies as a result of this one, it would be much appreciated if we could get the position filled this quicker.
Absolutely, and please, let Renee know as well, and that she's much appreciated, and everything that I hear from everyone that she serves out in the community has been positive. She does a great job. She really knows what's going on, and really has a good way about her to help all those folks out. So she's been doing it a long time and that, but people really do appreciate her, and she helped a lot of people over the years.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
she's gonna be greatly missed. There's a whole lot of knowledge and experience walking out the door on her last day, and it's happy for her, sad for us. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm very happy for Rainey, and she's done great work, and she's going to be greatly missed by our agency, I can tell you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, and then any questions about the hiring process here? No, they're just sounds like they're just going to kind of backfill this position here, and then kind of every position right out to the actual street, or if there needs to be an external hire, then that would be a part of this as well.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
Next up. Hi, Justin. How you doing?
Good morning, Commissioners.
We're considering approval of the Lead for America.
Yep, so I have the contract for the program year 24 for Lead for America and American Connection Corps member to be placed at Koochiching County. So I just wanted to come to get approval to sign that agreement for the host site agreement. Host site fee will be $19,000, like we discussed at a previous board meeting. That invoice is not to us yet, but will be coming after the start of the program in October.
We've obviously had applicant for this position and been awarded.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why we're at this point. Otherwise, if we weren't awarded, we wouldn't.
Exactly, yep. They've
Okay.
decided to place a member with us for the third year now, and we have that member selected.
Okay, excellent. And then, we remember where we were going to fund this from?
It was recommended to the ARPA committee. We have not held a ARPA committee meeting yet. We're waiting for some of the invoices to come in on the highway equipment and sheriff's equipment
Okay.
to see to balance out the ARPA funds to see what's remaining.
Okay.
But, and then probably before October, I anticipate having an ARPA committee meeting and we can talk about how we want to commit any additional funds that we have. And determine where we would expense this out, whether it's through that or through a contingency fund. Are the two at the top of my mind right now.
Okay. And which we wouldn't have to, you said we're not invoiced as yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Like you say October?
Mm-hmm. They sent it out at the start of the program year, which is October.
Wishes of the board.
Walk me through what this is.
So LFA ACC is a national program where they place a member at host sites. That host site can be any kind of entity as long as they are focused on the betterment of the community in which they reside. So for us, it's going to be technology-based. Our last two members have done great work. It's part of the packet that I had sent. 2022-2023 members, so the first year we had it, they were able to acquire about $20,000 or about $18,000 in grants. They worked on a $77,000 Office of Broadband Border fiber project expansion, so people in the community could have fiber internet. They also started the Digital Connection Committee, a committee that was focused on helping people in the community with their technology needs, questions, helping procure equipment for those that need it and couldn't get it themselves, to try to bridge the divide in digital equity and equality. 2023 to program year member refurbished 50 PCs, 50 plus PCs, and distributed those to members of the community. They helped people sign up for that broadband program, helped churches with bulletins, continue that digital navigators with the generation to generation events, helping students at the local school connect with the senior citizens in the community to help them with their technology needs. They also coordinated the e-waste collection event that was here in the county, helping get rid of 2 tons of electronic waste that would have had to go through Mass Environmental Services Department, saving them a ton of money in transporting and getting rid of that equipment safely. And our 23 program member also was able to raise about $20,000 in grants to help fund their activities.
So it's basically a wash.
And that member was Tim.
Tim, yes. Tim last year, Jackie the year before, and this current program year is a young lady. Her name is Corey Horton. She's very good.
And when does this begin? This is in August, potentially?
We get the member at the
End of August?
start of October.
Oh, start of October.
Yeah, so they'll be doing their onboarding with ACC LFA during this month.
Okay,
We
start
get next
okay.
month.
I'll make the motion.
I'd second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Thank you. We have first and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Like I say, this was good, and I know Dale talked about this about getting out to these other areas, you know, and I think that's one of the things that we can look to expand to too, is try to get a site host out there for some of these cleanup days if we have this again. And like I say, you should have seen the pile of stuff there. It's unbelievable. I mean,
2 tons.
that was unreal. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. We were overwhelmed, honestly. We were working hard too that day. Everybody worked real hard, and so it was promoted really well. And everyone that was there and everybody that showed up to bring their goods in, it was a really good deal to keep that stuff out of there. And like I say, I think they took every bit of it now, did they? I'm not sure. I haven't touched base,
Yeah,
but I think they had another load or two
I
to
know
go.
that they had stored some of the excess at the transfer station, but
Yeah.
I think it's all been picked up now.
Right. So I mean, and that's I didn't count the TVs, but there was a lot of them. If you wanted a TV, that was a place to go. you could have got a lot of TVs. But like I say, it was a great deal. It really was a good deal to see all that waste getting out from the basements and behind the garages and stuff like that too. So, and then getting it to where it's going to be disposed of properly is the next step too. So every little bit helps, and I didn't think we'd have that much. Honestly, I was really overwhelmed with it all. There was really an unbelievable amount of stuff. So a lot of thank yous to go with that fellow. I know he put a lot of work into it. And
Yeah, Tim did a
promoted
great
it.
job for us.
Yeah, he did. Yep. So, along with promotion of the community and a promotion of the well-being of technology too, so that he kind of gets out there on different levels of things. So, but appreciate the support too. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Environmental Services, how you doing?
Good.
I thought we were done with this project.
Well,
Almost.
yes.
Okay. Just have a kind of a replacement line, it looks like, from some cooperation that was had, and
Yeah, so Mike and Trish Hogan own 2 properties on Gold Shores on Rainy Lake that were a part of the Island View Sewer Project. As a result of the construction in 2018 through 2020, impacting their private propane line at 1980 County Road 138. The propane company installed a temporary service line to service their home. And the project paid for that because it was in the middle of the construction and we needed to get it taken care of as part of that project. The Hogans were to reinstall the permanent line after construction and request reimbursement for the replacement cost, but didn't get that completed until this year. We closed out the project in 2022, therefore there aren't any funds available for the Hogan's request for reimbursement. The total cost of the replacement of the propane line is $479.23. And I know Mike is here, and I don't know if you have anything you want to add to the request there.
Not really. I know it was kind of took a long time to replace it, but I don't know how much time you have to tell the whole story of what's happened in the last couple of years, but I'm sure you don't want to hear it. But I just want to get reimbursed for getting the tank put back into. If we didn't put it back where it was, that would have been about $3,000 or $4,000. And I thought, well, why waste everybody's money? Let's just remove it about 10 feet.
well, it sounds like there's some cooperation with some easements, stuff up there, and being able to move the line when it needed to for this project, so we appreciate that. I think I understand. I mean, I don't know the full in-depth story of it. I know there was a lot of cooperation by many people, and it sounds like there's some cooperation with where this stuff was laying out around your area up there, I think. So we appreciate that, and I think we understand that, it takes time to get this stuff ironed out too, and just because the project's closed doesn't mean it's not reimbursable either, I don't think. So.
Yeah, and I understand it's been a long time, but I've been through 2 hurricanes.
Yep.
Many medical procedures in the last few years, so that was not on the top of my list of things to get done.
Right. No, it's been a tough couple of years, honestly, for folks up the lake, and dealing with the water here, and then just kind of getting back to normal here last year, and then like having a full normal summer this year, and I know Matt closed the project out and stuff, and that was a process too, to get that closed out. So I mean, it all takes time. So we appreciate your patience and appreciate you bringing this forward too, and appreciate you being here to do that. So.
I want to just add, the Hogans, they had a main line, or a line that serviced, multiple properties running through their property. So, and there were many other properties throughout the project that did those types of things, but those are important contributions of the property owners to help everybody within the project area. And some areas got more infrastructure installed on their property and others less. And those that had more, obviously were helping the project in doing that, so.
And we do appreciate that too.
Yep.
So
Thank
throughout
you.
the project, so. Do you have anything else?
I don't, no.
Okay.
So the request is to reimburse the Hogans in the amount of $479.23 for the replacement of their permanent, of the propane line that was impacted by the construction, so.
Is that your budget?
We can reallocate some funding within our budget. to pay
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Rowe. Thank you, Mr. Hogan, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for allowing all that to happen up there.
I know you're up on the top of the big rock up there.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. At this time, we are open for public comment. This is kind of a short meeting. Is there anyone in person or online for public comment? Hearing no public comment. We have some other business. We have a request from Little Fork Ambulance Service request. And come on up, everyone, if you like, and grab a chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll grab a chair over here for you. On the other side, easier. Here, I'll just go. Okay, stay up. Thank you. Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and just kind of a brief summary of what's going on and.
My name is Lauren Blayman. I'm a city council member. Here representing the mayor. Can't make it today, so I'm here representing him. In the process, we've got a grant from the state for a new ambulance, which other cities did too. New ambulances cost a fortune. So we're actually requesting a loan from the county to to finish out paying off for the new ambulance.
Yeah, I'm Tom Donahue. I was chief for the last 25 years up until July 1st. We finally said that's enough and we got a new one, but I put the project together, so, and the new chief had to be at the funeral today down in the city, so. But yeah, the whole thing is Sonia came to me and said, we finally got this grant, $202,447. And so I immediately called our ambulance supplier and said, what can we do? And so they came up and happened to have, well, right now to get a new ambulance is 2.5 years out. Our last ambulance, we rebuilt the box we had, put it on a new chassis, which worked great and saved us a lot of money, got a grant for that. But the new one, all said and done, is $332,508. But that is, they call it a demo, but we're getting it brand new from the factory. Should be into our ambulance supplier on the 6th of October is the date, they hope, and it takes them about 3 weeks to prep it all for us. Then they'll bring it up. But so what we're trying to do, we have a 4-wheel drive now that 2017 that we got from North Dakota that we're going to trade in. They've already got somebody that wants it. and they're gonna give us 65,000 trade-in on that. So between the two, we're gonna have a balance left of $65,000, $65,060.33. So in the,
Yeah.
Sorry, we just have a copy of the quotes that we came up with. I thought it would be nice to have a
yeah, if you wanna see the
visual
quote.
in front of you.
And the, so there's two things we need to do. We need to pay the difference for the new ambulance, but then our four-wheel drive that we're trading in still has a balance on it of $65,000. So right now, in our in our levy, we get $17,545 to go towards ambulance, to make the payments we've been paying. So it won't change anything in the tax levy at all. And that's would be what we'd use for the repayment of the loan. So on the first option, you see, would be just to get the amount to cover the difference on the new ambulance. That would leave us $65,000, which we could come up with, but what it would do is totally deplete our reserve for a new ambulance. So what we'd like to do is go for an 8-year loan and get $130,000. That way we can pay it all off, still keep $60,000 that we have now in our account for a new ambulance, which we'll probably have to do in about 3 to 4 years. So that's why the two different proposals. I mean, we'd be more than happy with just the 65, but if we get the total amount, then we don't deplete our funds totally, which for us, as small as we are and as tight as our budget is, it's difficult to, there's no extra money at all.
And you are?
I'm Holly Boy, City Administrator. Took over for Sonia Pelland at the beginning of June.
Okay, excellent. So the 17,500, so it's 160 over 8 years, you're thinking?
Yeah, that it would actually take, we can pay it, if we use that, that would be the payment we do once a year. And yeah, it would take actually just under 8 years.
Okay, okay. And that would be from what area then? Is that from the, just out of your levy or general levy?
Yeah, it's right out of the general levy. That's already built in. That's what we're using now to make the payments on the ambulance we have right now.
Okay,
So rather than, originally we used that when we first pulled it, when we built the new building.
Okay.
And then when that was paid off, we transferred it over to pay for the ambulance. And so now we just like to keep that going since it's already built in, doesn't affect the taxpayers at all. That's our biggest push, is to never increase taxes if we don't have to. And so this would be a way to do that, get a new ambulance, and be able to have it paid off in 8 years.
And then you also, is there a collection area there for this service in the district, within the ambulance district now? Like a tax collection or like a taxing district for the ambulance service area?
We have it. We're one of the 3 in the state that have a taxing district. I mean, that's what we get. So,
Okay.
and that's why you say we don't want to increase that at all.
Okay. All right.
And since it's already built in, that's why it works out very nice. Like I said, we could do it, but I hate to totally take us down to zero on our replacement fund. Something comes up, you reckon ambulance, now what do we do? Then we'll have to come to you guys, hey, we got this paid for, but now we have nothing to replace an ambulance if something happens, like hitting a moose.
Yeah, I just wanted you'd be aware you have a mechanism to help pay for this too at your disposal too within that district.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so just so you
Yeah, we do.
understand that
We
too.
build in. We have a built-in amount. We put in $20,000 every year to go towards replacement, but obviously $332,000 for a new ambulance.
Right.
It takes quite a while to build that up. So
yeah.
that's why we're hoping to not deplete that, so that we can keep building on it.
Okay. And the request is for the one.
We'd like to get 130. That would take care of it on the option 2. That would take care of paying off the difference for the new ambulance and paying off the existing ambulance.
And have one payment set.
And then have the one payment, right, and then, then we don't have to go out and get an additional loan. It's already built in, and we just pay it back to you guys.
Gosh, we just have Joan
Jones out this week with the grandbaby.
here. Okay. What options do we have?
I would, again, I need to look at the ARPA balance. So that could be a consideration. I don't know how much will be left. I think with the estimates, there was about 28,000 there. We have
$500,000 in unallocated contingency funds. Otherwise, it's reserve spend.
And are you looking for this year, or
Yeah.
rate by October, obviously? right?
Well, no, actually, we don't have to make that payment, I believe, until we get to the end of the year.
To the end of the year, okay. All right. And so either way, it would be,
24 budget.
yeah, we couldn't stretch it that far. If they have to have payment by the end of the year.
Right, but yeah, it would be this year.
Right.
If need be, we might be able to push it to January 1, so it could go in your 25 budget. I can certainly approach them on that, because we could give them the big down payment we got on the grant, could go to them, and then worry about the balance. If that would help you guys, we could probably make that arrangement.
Might be easier for budgeting if it's possible. If it's not possible, then we'll do what we
I
need to do.
can make a phone call today and find out, so.
Yeah, if it's,
I
mean, otherwise we could.
I can almost guarantee we can do it. We deal with PSV for the last 15 years, so I'm sure, knowing that they're gonna get, that it's gonna be guaranteed and they're gonna get 90% of it anyway. I don't think it'll be an issue.
Right, yeah, if it get, like I say, it would just be part of a allocation, one-time allocation with a longer repayment, basically. is
Right,
what it would be.
right.
So it would be budgeted out in '24, and it would, affect some of that there, but that could be just part of, if it goes into the red, let's say, we know that we're gonna be refilled on that after the course of 7 or 8 years, like.
And if you need to push the whole thing, I mean, with what we have, we could take care of what we have to for the existing ambulance out of what we have, as long as we know we're gonna replace it. That wouldn't be a problem.
Would 24 be better, or does it matter?
25?
Or 25, excuse me?
I mean, as far as clean with the budget, yes. I mean, unless you wanted to reserve spend out of reserves.
I mean, either way, we'd be budgeting back next year, for sure. That would be part of the budget back, but it would be the budget out, budget in type thing for next year. Would be simpler, easier,
Probably, if it can.
if it can work.
If it can work.
If that's okay, I mean, just
We'll
want to
make
make
it
sure,
work.
if you want to make sure it'll work for you guys,
Yeah.
I think that would be,
We'll make it work.
I mean, and of course, obviously, there got to be, if everybody's in agreement, obviously, we have,
Right.
but the terms, I guess, is what we're discussing, is
Exactly.
the amount and when that possibly would happen, and then the repayment. And I guess, would it be an annual repayment or quarterly?
That's the way it's set up right now, because we get that basically when we get our money, which comes in 2 installments. We get the one in June, July from the county, and then we get the other one usually near end of December. So it'd probably be like end of the year. Or we could split it, take some out of the first allocation and some out of the second.
I don't know, does that matter?
That makes sense based on the levy schedule, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do it.
I know the levy
annually.
schedule kind of changes where we don't always get half and half. Sometimes we get a little bit here and a whole bunch, or a whole bunch and then a little bit. So, but we could certainly make it out of each section, depending on how much we've gotten out of that.
Yeah, it could be a percentage of that. too,
Right,
you know
we
what I
can
mean?
do it out of that.
So it equals whatever at the end of the day. If it's a smaller percentage in the spring, then it's a smaller payment in the
Right.
spring and a larger one in the fall, or
Right.
whatever.
And
So
we-
if that works,
If that works, we can do that, or we can
If
do a
it's
single
not-
payment at the end of the year, whatever you
it's up
guys
to
prefer.
how he wants to do it. Whatever simpler.
Well, it's up to you guys. I mean, if you guys want to do that, we maybe need to talk about those terms, but.
Well, we probably should have a contract and things, I imagine, kind of set up to actually bring before the board if it's agreeable to move forward.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's been done in the past, but I can research that.
We probably have some type of just a term agreement,
Oh,
simple term
absolutely,
agreement
yeah.
or whatever it might be.
Sure.
That we can have for consideration. But we got the general gist of what we're looking for. I mean, if everyone's in favor of moving forward, we can actually motion on that. If that sounds okay, and then we'll get the official terms, and if one year or all you want to come back, I don't know, in a month or so, probably, it takes probably a month to get all this stuff together, I imagine, and get something written up or whatever, if it needs to be, I guess, too, and then just kind of go from there. If
Sure.
that sounds okay. I don't know, what do you think, Dan?
I think that certainly want to help, but I think maybe we need to discuss a little bit farther, because ambulances cost a lot of money, and there's others are needing ambulances too, so I think we want to look at it. It's we can't do without them. But I think we want to look at it and think about it a little bit, how we go about this.
Yeah, we can have further discussion either later today or at a different committee of the whole too.
It's not immediate, the ambulance, you need it by 1st October, was it?
Well, yeah, we're not gonna probably get it until the end of October, 1st of November.
And the money.
And I think I can push it out
next
until,
year. I mean, that's not, the issue is more the procedure with me as to, because,
Well, it's impressive.
2.5 years from now, there's a bunch of people that got orders in for ambulances. Black Duck, at their last meeting, they're trying, or joint powers with Beltrami and Itasca down there, and that's, they're looking at ambulances, of course, but they're 2.5 years out. So I think we want to be a little bit thoughtful about how we do this.
Yep.
That's my 2 cents.
Sounds good. I'm in agreement. I think the process, yeah, that is important. That's a good point, Commissioner. I guess I kind of see this as kind of a contribution to the community in the county too. I mean, this is a benefit to the county to have this service too. So we do want to have it, but I understand the Commissioner's point too. There's other services in the county that may have this similar request, and honestly, I won't speak too far ahead, but I mean, I would be kind of in favor of looking at something to help that out as well if it needs to happen. I mean, I shouldn't say it out loud maybe, but I understand that some of that funding and the way these prices have went up, they went from probably $280 to $330 just in a matter of a couple of years. From what I've understood, to where it used to be $250, $260, $270 to $280, and now we're up over $300 for an ambulance, which you have to have. And I understand inflation, but that's.
well, the first one we bought, we paid, of course it was used, but our refurbish was $150 to have a box just mounted on a new chassis. So it's about half the price.
Right,
But-
and that's
Yeah.
quite a difference from today to
Yes.
from then, and especially the smaller communities across the state and across the nation. Really, they're the same deal. You got to have the service. So, yeah, I would agree with Dale too on looking at a process to kind of cover, if we can do a cover-all, catch-all. I guess what we'd be looking for, or if we're in agreement to financing this to move forward with a contract of anything, or do we want to have this discussion further? Because I think they need to know whether you need to go out to your levy to get this, or whether whether this would happen through the county. So I think that's, am I understanding that correct?
When we actually won't go for we're not going to increase taxes. What we'd have to do is we'll get a private loan and pay interest on it.
Oh, I gotcha.
But
Okay.
that might, but no, there's no intent to raise any taxes at all.
Okay.
I'm in favor of going through with the process.
Okay.
I would second that. I'm in favor also.
Well, I think with that, we'll consider that as moving forward, at least with a potential contract for the set amount of $130 for the 8 years, and then I think we'll look at the contractual, and I think we'll look at the process.
Sure.
I like Dale, and I would like to look at that process too, because he's right. In a couple of years,
Absolutely.
there may be more requests and maybe even different people here too. So it might be something to set up now and get it ready for the future too. So, like you say, you're lucky you called right away, because if you wouldn't have, I think it was like that with everything. It was pickups and everything was crazy, But then of course all this money.
And they had pretty much a lot of just about every ambulance service up in the northern area, because they all got money, and just about everybody within a week was looking at replacing or refurbishing what they have, because everybody's in the same boat. I mean, we try and make them last 10 years, and that's really pushing it.
Yeah, they get a lot of miles. We're fairly remote, and
Well, especially for us. I mean, we're not like Falls, where they're really short. Our shortest trip is 25 miles, and
One way.
we're down to Fargo. We're down to, yeah, so.
So I guess that would be the motion, would be to move forward with a contract agreement that we need to look into here, and probably revisit this again for a final approval of that contract. But what we would work on is what your terms that you suggested here. We have a first from Commissioner Hill, a second from Commissioner Roach. Is there anything we should add to that, or do we need to add anything to that?
I don't know that I heard an exact motion. Can I read what I understood, what maybe I
Sure, please.
understood? So wishes of the board is to approve moving forward with drafting an agreement for an interest-free loan for the Little Fork Ambulance Service in the amount of $130,000 with a repayment over 8 years.
That sound appropriate? If that
Or some
covers-
other financing mechanism. Financing of some sort, for sure, but the mechanism is,
So, I mean, this made the motion, so I just want to make sure we're clear on. So you want to strike the terms?
I mean, we can have discussion, we have time to have discussion too. We don't necessarily have to make a final motion here, but I personally support it to move forward however we need to do this, whether it be through the county, you know, this year or through 2025. I'd rather be nice to have it to 2025 so we can budget for it. It's just cleaner, neater. The auditors don't question, the budget, we didn't budget for it or whatever. So you budget for it January 1, you cut a check, whatever. I mean, that would be cleaner, neater, and then at the same time, at the end of the year or throughout however that's set up would be just the
And
first.
we can make that happen.
Right.
what would it look like if we made an agreement to just pay the interest? They go get a loan, and we pay the interest. They're taxpayers, and they're held harmless, basically. They're making the payments out of what they're already, and we're on the hook for the interest. Would that accomplish the same goal?
Well, depending on if we can get the financing privately, I mean, I don't know how that process is gonna go. We could certainly go down that avenue. I just hate having anybody have to pay extra in interest if we don't have to. It was the only reason we were hoping to get it from the county, so that we're not having to pay anything more than what we're already putting out, for anybody,
Well, I
because
don't think-
ultimately it goes to the taxpayers is who ends up.
You would make your payment off the levy that you're currently getting, and the county would pick up the interest, because the county works on borrowed money too.
Oh, no, understand. But it's just, then you guys are having to pay interest that you didn't.
Well, we're collecting interest too on some of the monies that are in those funds, as well. So we're collecting interest money on the money that has been collected, if you want to call it overage or whatever. But those funds get set aside, and we're collecting anywhere from 1.5% to a little under 5% on those funds. Now, obviously, those funds are set aside and can't be necessarily spent for just anything. Some of them are allocated or unallocated. Some of them are for budget coverages for a shutdown or whatever. But that's what it'd been nice to have Joan kind of explain a little bit of where we're at. I wasn't here. Did she do the quarterly last?
This was actually on the committee of the whole today.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to go through it with you since she's gone, but.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to do the quarterly investment reports. Moreover, so I mean, some of the money, and I understand what Dale's saying too, but the interest rates are kind of high right now too. I think higher than probably, they're higher. They're probably looking at least mid-5s for just a regular private loan. At least if you have great credit, I think it's a mid-5 loan, if not more. And then on 160 over 8, I don't know what the amortization would be on that for interest. Probably not a heck of a lot, honestly, but still it would be maybe more than what we do. But anyway, we have a motion on here. Do we want to amend that motion to consider some other payment? The motion is as read from Adam, to consider the terms and to move forward with the financing as presented. Or do we want to change the motion? The motion was made by Commissioner Hill, seconded by Commissioner Roach, to go as presented. I know Dale kind of would like to look at different options and opportunities too.
Just the ability to look at other things, 'cause like I say, it's a process, right?
Yeah, well, no, we would definitely, I think, have a contract set up for this year, and I think within that process, and we don't have to approve everyone either. You know what I mean? Like I say, you have an avenue to collect as well. So I mean, you got to know that you have that resource, you might say, to help pay for this too, and you can do that through your board. And it goes for another approval. But I mean, if your board has said, hey, we want to collect an extra $10,000 to pay for this, that might be something that then it's put right on those areas there. Right now, it's kind of going countywide, which I don't have a huge issue with because everybody contributes to that. But And it is interest-free, which is nice too.
Right.
Over time too. So, I mean, I personally don't have any issue with what you're requesting is here, but I understand where Dale's coming from
Well, I
too.
don't
So there
have
are.
an issue either. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
end up having a bigger burden. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that the process is, I don't have a problem with the county supporting it at all. It's just how we do it.
We should figure out how much the interest is gonna be and cut them a check for that at the first of the year. And that would start them out as the first payment. And then they can continue on from there, or half the first payment and then, does that make sense?
They would have to, well, I mean, that's why, it needs to be thought through, maybe by people that are a lot smarter and better with numbers than I am.
Well, yeah, if we don't have to pay interest though, I think it's a benefit to all, because that money's gotta come from somewhere. So if we're paying the interest on a private loan for a private entity necessarily, and 6 one, half dozen of the others, why, I mean, it's not gonna be a lot of interest, I don't think.
Right.
But at the same time, I think, you have the funds set out and cut aside for this, and under terms of an agreement, and we're gonna get the funding back, I mean, it won't be with interest.
It's gonna be coming back every year, so.
Right.
I mean,
So,
if we
true.
jump around and try to get more loans,
That's
I
true.
mean, there's a lot more wasted time right there.
Well, that
I mean, it's
was
a headache.
just our thought, is we were trying not to, basically make it as cheap as possible. If we can keep interest out of it, that would be great. If you have the funds available, I mean, we totally understand if there's funds aren't available, but yeah, to go out and try and get private funding, you can do it, but yeah, that's a lot of hoops to jump through. That's not a guarantee. Bottom line is we'll have to be able to pay for the stuff right up front, and then so we've got to get a loan of either from the county, or we'd have to go from private.
Right. But we have a motion to kind of move forward here, unless, we haven't brought that to a vote, but we have a first and a second here with the terms of the agreement to go to a contractual next step of a contract, and then that would be a final approval upon that contract to enter into that contract would be the next step. I mean, we can certainly have discussion before that about a process, and I think we should too. And if we got a little time, which looks like we might, before the end of the year, we can certainly have that discussion and look at different ways to do it too, I think. So if we get something, but if you're okay with that moving forward, I think we'll be okay with that.
Absolutely.
We don't all have to. I think the process is a good idea though too, because Dale's got a good point. He sees ahead of the curve, so he looks ahead of the head. So I see to the end of the wall, and then he opens the next door, and the
I
next.
might need the ambulance now.
Well, the next level of it is, it really should be a process that's fair for all as well.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
and
You're
when
going
you
to get
have
more requests, I'm sure.
right, as apportionment, and of course you can't help everything all the time, but we certainly, on certain things like this here, is important to communities. So, but no changes to the motion, and as presented, as Administrator Cole wrote it. You want to repeat it just one more time for us, please? If you're not
Are we
confused.
including the terms, or we're just gonna summarize it as,
I think we can summarize it as, and work on the terms.
so
Through-
approve exploring financing options for Little Fork ambulance request for $130,000 for the purchase of an ambulance?
Yes. Does that sound okay?
I mean, it's your motion.
Or
What was the first one?
Well, the first one.
Right. Because,
The first one was basically approval to draft an agreement
Mhm.
based on the request as presented, which was the $130,000.
And we could add-
0% for 8-year payback was the first one.
That was the first one I made.
So, I mean, it's your motion. If you want to present it as that, then.
That's
or
what I
you
want to present it.
Amend it, that's up to you.
you're good with that first one?
Yep.
Okay. You good with that?
Yep.
Second motion? Okay. Any further discussion? Anything else to add? Well, thank you guys for coming in here. If hearing nothing else, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. So
Thank you.
we'll be in touch. Probably Adam will be in touch with you, Tom, or Holly.
Yeah,
If that's okay, and correspond with the timeline or whatever, and then we'll look at options of financing too, and Adam, between Adam and Joan, we'll look and see, you know, where this may come from, I think, and how the best way to budget for it is too. But if you wouldn't mind looking into the 2025 area there,
I'll
that
do
would
that
be,
as soon as I get out of here.
Okay, that would be great.
That'd be a problem, so.
all right. So,
Thank you so much.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do we have any other business?
No.
No official business. I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Rowe. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And we are adjourned.